Whether you're a new listener to the Baby Sleep Connection podcast or you've been listening for a while, I'm excited to share that I have a podcast listener guide for you. This is a listener guide that gives a breakdown of some of my top episodes, as well as a few other lists, like my favorite books. If you want to download it, go to familysleep.ca/links. You'll be put on my email list as well, which of course you can always unsubscribe if you wish at any time. Being on my email list means an encouraging and supportive email from me almost every week with some perspectives on baby sleep, some stories about my parenting journey, as well as upcoming events. Welcome to the Baby Sleep Connection, a podcast that explores baby sleep and more through the lens of attachment and development. I'm your host, Heather Boyd. I'm a mom of 3, an occupational therapist, and a certified infant and family sleep specialist. If you are a tired parent who wants to support your baby sleep holistically, keep listening as we delve into approaches that go well beyond the usual strategies of wake windows and bedtime routines. Your baby's sleep is connected with so much more. And without further ado, let's jump into the 3 major tips that will help shift sleep for you as early as tonight. Now, these are not your typical sleep strategies. These are more about perspectives around supporting your baby's sleep. And there's 3 of them, and these are doozies. These are ones that I covered today in my infant development circle. This is an in-person group that I'm right in the middle of offering here in Niagara to parents of babies from birth to 12 months. This is a group where I get to cover one major theme in development every week. And this week was all about sleep. So let's get right to it. Tip number 1, instead of thinking that you need to micromanage your baby's sleep challenge as it is in this moment, think instead about sleep for the first 3 years as being like one long, big sleep regression. Now, I know that feels like maybe we're going the wrong direction here if I'm talking about a mindset or perception shift around sleep, but hear me out. Oftentimes, when sleep gets great, we assume we've done something right and we're being rewarded with longer stretches or easier bedtimes. And then when things go sideways, we really give ourselves a hard time, assuming that we've missed something or that it's our fault or that we screwed this up somehow or that we're damaging our baby's sleep for the rest of their lives. And instead, if we think about the first 3 years as being one big wild ride of sleep regression to the point where at that 3-year age-ish, sleep is looking a lot more like adult sleep. Not exactly like adult sleep, but very much more like adult sleep than a newborn, then it allows us to let go of this idea of micromanaging the sleep at all in the first 3 years. Now, this, of course, does not mean that we shouldn't pay attention to the value of routines and rhythm, the value of sleep hygiene, the value of honoring our baby's sleep needs. But instead of thinking that every time sleep gets tricky, that it's on us to solve it and figure it out, or we're royally messing up as parents, if we know this is a wild roller coaster ride for 3 years, we can look at going with the flow of the ups and downs. Now, again, I will emphasize there's ups and downs. This does not mean that there are 3 years of misery for sleep. It means that we can embrace that when it's going well, we can enjoy it and lean in, and when it's not going well, that we don't need to own it as a problem we have to solve. One of the parents in the infant development circle this morning said, I'm a fixer. I want to fix problems. I want to collect data and then do something about it. And her comments really resonated with me because I felt the same way as a parent with a very young baby. In fact, I think I'm a recovering fixer. And I think most of the parents that I work with are also fixers and problem solvers. It's why they reach out to me, because they want to do something to make what is happening easier or better. The fact is that our job is not to make things better, faster, easier, and smoother. Ours is to support our babies right where they're at, understanding who they are, what their sleep needs are, and what they need to make this as easy as possible under the circumstances. So if this tip resonates with you, this idea of taking a step back and looking at the first 3 years as one big sleep regression, one long, slow, up and down walk to the not even finish line, quote unquote finish line, where your baby's sleep, if we measured it, is probably going to look much more like an adult, then great. I think it can be helpful to know that this is part of the natural unfolding of your baby's development. If a mom came to me and said, Heather, I really want to work on walking. I want my baby to walk. Tell me what to do. Tell me what I need to have. Like, give me the homework. I really need to make this work because life is going to be so much easier when my baby is walking. And I said, well, how old's your baby? Well, 3 months. I'd be like, hold on here. Hold on. We got to understand that what you were doing at 3 months to support walking is not going to look anything like it will when they're actually ready to take those first steps. At 3 months, working on walking is going to look like meeting their basic needs for growth and development, nurturing, comfort, movement in your arms, rocking, bouncing, face-to-face play, engagement in the world, all that wonderful stuff. None of which looks like you're working on walking at all. And for good reason, you're just providing the basics of an environment, a loving environment to support your baby's potential. And the same can be said for sleep. Yes, you want to get to a point where your baby is sleeping through the night and can fall asleep independently and is either not in your bed or not needing settling in the crib several times a night. But we're going to get there at your baby's pace, and your job is to support them where they're at. Okay, tip number 2. It doesn't always need fixing. Now, I want to preface this by saying that as an OT and sleep coach, I do look at the actual barriers that are getting in the way of sleep. This morning in the infant development circle, I talked about 2 of the main ones, which would be respiratory, so breathing or sleep apnea, looking at is your baby able to freely breathe at night, or is their sleep getting interrupted several times a night because they are having trouble breathing through their nose or getting a nice, good airway. The second main thing that I look at is nutrition and nutritional status, looking at those nutrients that support sleep, like magnesium and iron. Those things, airway and nutritional status, can't be fixed any other way than fixing it head on. Talking to your doctor or healthcare professional about either of those 2 can be very valuable. Those tend to be things that I encourage families to look into more when none of our usual suspects are working. When sleep is clearly an ongoing and consistent problem that has not budged at all. There haven't been any ups and downs. It's all just felt like one big downhill with sleep. Then we pursue those things. For the vast majority of children, however, most of the time, parents are putting an effort on things that are going to unfold in the natural sleep development of their baby. What this means is that when sleep isn't going well, it doesn't mean something is inherently wrong. It doesn't mean that we need to do something or fix something or solve it in order to get things back on track. Now, it can be useful to go back to the basics of what is basic sleep hygiene for a baby in terms of the environment, the lighting. Are they feeding well enough to be satiated at night and be able to sleep as much as they can developmentally because they're not waking up underfed, for example? But the tendency with us as parents who are overthinkers and overfixers is to be getting out that wrench when all we need to do is wait. Part of moving away from a fix-it mentality is to accept the reality as it is in front of you now. So often we turn what is happening in this moment, maybe a chaotic bedtime or a bedtime that's way too late or disorganized, or everything just feels chaotic and not into any sort of a rhythm to be able to get through the evening. And when we get wrapped up in what's happening, we assume that this is a sleep emergency that we need to fix right now. Like right now, the kids have to get in bed or this is going to just all fall apart. Most of the time, it's not a sleep emergency. You can slow down, meet your baby's need as it is in this moment as best you can, within reason, within your capability, and know that if something is genuinely not working with your routine or the timing of bed or the light coming in the window because the days are longer or the temperature is poor, you may not be able to fix that tonight. Don't feel like you have to fix it as if it's an emergency tonight. You can tackle some of these things gradually over time. Order that blackout blind from Amazon, or go out to the store to get one, or get fabric from Fabricland and sew your own. Look at getting airflow in the room. Look at tweaking the bedtime routine so that it's something that you can look forward to too, instead of dreading it. These are things that cannot be fixed in this moment, but are long-term solutions that allow you to enjoy bedtime and support your baby exactly where they're at in this moment. Tip number 3, do what works for you and your family. I mentioned in this morning's group that when I was younger, as a parent of much younger children, I would see an idea that looked really good and worked for someone. And then I'd think I had to grab it. And that if I grabbed it, I grabbed everything that person did. Like it was a package deal, like going to Costco and getting everything all in one deal, or filling up that basket. And one of the moms today said, oh yeah, we don't need the whole package deal. We can cherry pick our solutions. I thought, yes, bingo. We can cherry pick what works. You do not need to sign up to be a card-carrying member of whatever strategy, philosophy, or approach seems to be a good fit for you. You get to take what is useful for you, because what you're creating at home, the environment you're creating, the routine you're creating, the kind of support you're curating for your baby is unique to you and your baby and your family. There's no one else that's going to make it look exactly the same as you. So you don't need to buy the package deal. Take the strategies that resonate with you, where you say, gosh, it's not just that it worked for this other family and therefore I think I should use it too, this strategy, but this really resonates with me. It fits with my values as a parent. It fits with what I'm seeing from my kiddo and what they need. It fits within the capacity of what I can feel good about doing when it comes to bedtime or daytime or nighttime parenting. So there you have it. 3 tips to shift your perspective on sleep. These are more valuable than I think a lot of parents give credit for. I think a lot of parents are looking for the thing to do, like the busy work or the mind work or the fixing piece. And instead, when we start with a foundation of how we're even thinking about our baby's sleep, it can go a long way to release a lot of the effort that you're putting into sleep that isn't actually getting you anywhere. It's like being in a rocking chair, right? You're doing a lot of work rocking back and forth, but you're not actually getting anywhere. Instead, shift your whole perspective on how it is that you're supporting your baby through these really turbulent years that are leading to more mature sleep because your baby has had time to grow and develop. So a quick little recap then. Look at the first 3 years as being one big, long sleep regression so that you're not falling into that trap of tip number 2, which is the fixing part, thinking that it always needs to be fixed if it's a problem. And the third is take what's useful to you and leave the rest. And don't let it just be the shiny things that are working for others. Take what really resonates with you and then morph it into something that actually does fit in your family. You don't have to take it right off the shelf. You can tailor make it. And that way you're tailor making the entire way that you support sleep by taking what's useful out there, because there's a lot. There is not a shortage of ideas or strategies or advice or do this and don't do that kind of advice. So really make it your own. And the starting point for that really, and this came up this morning too, is to look at your baby for the clues. Look at your baby and what it is that they need. This is partly based on their age and stage of development. It's partly based on their temperament. And then it's going to be sprinkled with the things that you're capable and not capable of, the things that you enjoy doing and don't enjoy doing, the self-talk you give yourself about the things you have to do anyway, like go up to bed early with your baby so that the timing of their sleep aligns with their circadian rhythm and sleep pressure. I hope these 3 tips are useful. I would love to hear from you what one resonated the most and how that might shift the way that you sleep parent your baby. You can email me at heather@heatherboyd.ca, and I'll also, in the show notes, put a link to the Infant Development Circle so that if you are in the Niagara, Ontario region and you are curious about learning more about the Infant Development Circle, because we cover more than just sleep, you can go to familysleep.ca/infant-development-circle. There'll be another one coming up in September of 2025 in St. Catharines at Between Mothers, which, by the way, the owner of Between Mothers is going to be one of my upcoming podcast guests. So if you are local and you know Angela or you're curious about learning more about her, you can look forward to that episode coming too. In the meantime, I wish you a peaceful, an easy bedtime tonight for your baby and for you, and I'll catch you on the next episode. Bye for now. Thank you for joining me on this episode. I do hope that you found the information and perspectives in this podcast episode helpful to you as you navigate your baby's sleep development. Of course, this podcast provides general information and it isn't tailored to your family's reality or the specific needs of your baby. If you're concerned about your baby's sleep or health, be sure to reach out to your healthcare provider. If you're feeling exhausted and overwhelmed and you need a place to feel nurtured and reassured, you can find me on Instagram at familysleep.ca. Until next episode, look for the connections that support you and your baby.